It's like the HOA and
Yeah,
government and all this stuff. It's like for my friends, everything.
everything. I like that.
But my enemies, the law.
The law.
All
Yeah, I
right, I
like
gotta do
it.
D&E. Let's see. Uh,
Okay.
That's so funny. Podcast. Oh, we're gonna do an hour. So that's probably not gonna be enough. Do till this evening. Here we go. Hey, if you're just joining us, we are getting ready to record
Four.
four. I tell you, and this is going to be important because that's one of my topics that we're going to talk about. Not two, not one, not two, not three, not four.
Four.
Episodes.
All right.
Okay, so I'm excited. I'm going on D&D, so nobody bothers me. And we got that. That's great. Awesome. And
I'm going to go push this on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, me too. Oh,
and
what?
on LinkedIn, too.
Don't remind me again. I have a new Mac OS running here. It's doing
Same.
some weird stuff.
Oh, not really.
Yeah.
Not in the studio. Not with audio hardware, man. I don't.
Yeah, no way.
I wait. I have to wait.
Okay.
I was on a call last night with a bunch of
Whoa.
people whose names you probably don't know, but whose work you have almost certainly appreciated.
I'm sure.
A bunch of front of house sound engineers, the A-list of front of house. Why they continue to invite me to these calls, I don't know. But I am happy to be there. But we were talking, they were like, oh, it's iOS 18 day. And I was like, yeah, it is. Because they do a call every week, and I missed it last week because it was Apple event day. I was like, yeah, it was Apple event day. They're like, oh, yeah, you got to bask in it. I'm like, well, it was more that I had to record podcasts, but sure. And they're like, wait, but yesterday was iOS 18 day. I'm like, well, it's also macOS 15 day. However, none of us should be touching that. And they're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know. They're like, right. Yeah, that's macOS 15 day for the rest of you. It's like, that's correct. Yes.
That's cool. Okay. I'm doing this. Okay. 4 episodes. All right. I just posted that. That's great. We've got some streamers in here. I'd like to, what I wish we could do is figure out a way to push this to a Spaces as well, which is the X audio, live stream.
But that would be not a podcast anymore because we would suddenly have wouldn't we have people participating in it and all of that?
You can, but you don't have to. You can.
Okay.
You can. That it might be an interesting experiment. We could record, and then if people hit that, oh, I have a question, it would.
You know what? Let's do. It's been a long time since I've done a Twitter space, so
I've
let's
just done a couple of them. Yeah.
Let's do one. And I'll see how I can integrate that into our workflow, just logistically.
Yeah,
but no better time to figure that out than just a random space that we'll do that we can kind of push out to our audiences.
Yeah, you just do it we just show up and then
we just show up and try it. Yeah, exactly.
And then see what goes. Because I did a couple last week, and sometimes you get, the viewer listeners, it can go up, and it's great to be able to ask questions. So it may be a good way for people to ask questions of us that they otherwise wouldn't.
And I'll record it. I mean, if there's something beneficial, we can release it. Obviously,
yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Awesome.
And we do have sponsors for each of these shows. So
sweet. Have you pre-recorded them? Or
I sure have. I got them done a full 20 seconds before you showed up here today.
Freaking great.
Just in time operation.
Who is the sponsor today, Dave?
It's Keeper is the sponsor
okay,
today.
Great. Okay, great. I've started getting texts and emails from them about you save some money here, and this is a good classification. So that's cool. Yeah, that's great. Let me get my face off this screen so I don't go in some sort of vortex. Okay.
Oh yeah, you don't want to vortex yourself. Yeah, no vortexing allowed. Yeah.
Bad news. Okay, so if you're joining us now, there's about 30 of you on X. I don't know how many on Facebook because they don't tell us, but. Or YouTube and LinkedIn. We're going to record.
YouTube, we should get numbers, but LinkedIn, we definitely don't get numbers from. So
we're going to record 4 episodes because my daughter's getting married next week, and I'm traveling during the week. Yes, so we're coming to the fruition of this, year and a half or so of planning. And so we're going to record. We'll release 2 episodes this week, 1 episode tomorrow, 1 on Friday, and then the last 2 episodes we record today, we're going to release on the following Wednesday and Friday. That's cool.
Yep. All right.
am ready anytime.
I'm ready too. Let's
are.
see if we can do this in time for me to get to where I need to be.
Yeah, let's go.
Yep. Here goes. Oh, I got to put the right banner in place. That one. We are doing 583. Okay. I feel like I know what I'm doing, and that's when you're in trouble. Is because if you think you know what you're doing, you're screwed. All right. Here goes nothing. Business Brain, episode 583 for Wednesday, September 18th, Rice Krispie Treat Day 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take a few ideas, we crunch them, we dissect them, we use them to analyze and tune our business brains each and every time we get together. Our sponsor for this episode is a new sponsor for us at keepertax.com/business, where you can go to track expenses, find deductions, and get a bigger tax refund. We'll talk more about that in a little bit here. Yeah, it's a cool service. Like you were saying, but pre-show, you get texts and it's guidance. It's great. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And out here in NorCal, Northern California, I'm Shannon Jean. How are you, Dave?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to rock today. I'm feeling good. I am too. And energized and
I am too. It's a great day. I have this scenario I want to run by you before we get into our main topic. If you'll
our main topic of idea presentation.
Yes.
So,
yes. That stick around. It's interesting. We're going to present it in such a way that your ear will be glued to the screen. But so I have this concept.
Don't glue your ears to the screen, folks.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. So I have this idea, and I just want to run it by to see if I'm using my business brain correctly. Okay. And here's this idea. So we have a few houses. One of them is our primary residence, and then we have a couple of other ones that we have that are owned by our business, and we use them as well from time to time, but primarily they're rentals, right? Vacation rentals.
Naturally, sure, yeah.
And at these three houses, I have a ton of stuff that I need to get done, right? Always. There's always a deck that needs to be stained, stuff that needs to be painted, outdoor trees that need to be cut down.
It's a vacation for everyone but you.
Yes, correct. It's a business for us. My wife always reminds us, this is our job. Okay, great. So that's great. And I love it. It's wonderful. But every time I call a contractor, the costs that I get quoted, especially in the last year or so, have been outrageous, through the roof, because their costs are, I'm sure, much higher. And this is not a rant about contractors. Actually, it's a creative idea that I've thought about. What if I just hired someone, said, hey, look, you work for me for a year. I'll pay you, I don't know,
salary.
Maybe let's say I give them $4,000 a month and with option for a $2,000 bonus. So $50,000. Okay, I'm going to hire this guy or, woman, whoever is handy, but they have to know how to do stuff. They got to be handy, at least as handy as me, and ideally handier, if that's a word. So they could manage and do things like stain the decks, paint the walls, replace some electrical, on and on and on. All this maintenance stuff that needs to be done at these three properties.
Yeah, you're hiring a full-time maintenance person.
Correct.
For your house.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And so,
but do you? Okay. Yeah.
Keep going. I would, of course, buy all the materials. So my question is, like, I got a quote for a 1,400 square foot. Was it even 1,400? I don't know. Pretty small deck. I don't think it was 1,400, but the quote to replace a deck was like $59,000. And when I priced the wood out, it was about $10,000. And I thought, well, shoot, what if I hired somebody for a year at $50,000? I bought the material, and then they get it done. Maybe it takes them a month. I don't know, but
sure,
because they're by themselves or whatever, it just takes a while. It's okay. But then I have them the rest of the year to do this massive list of things I need done that I believe if I were to have a contractor do every one, I would spend hundreds of, easily over $100,000, maybe $200,000, right?
Okay, so you're talking about hiring an employee versus hiring a string of contractors.
Correct.
For a series of jobs that traditionally would be done by a string of contractors. I mean, when I say hiring an employee versus a string of contractors, we start thinking about our non-vacation rental type businesses, and it's like, well, yeah, that happens all the time. But that doesn't happen all the time in a business like the one you have. Yes. My primary question is, where the heck are you going to find somebody that can do all that stuff for $50,000 a year?
Okay, so let's say I can find that person, because I think I can. I think I can.
That's fair. If you think you can, then that's
to my garden, the guys that do my gardening and different stuff, and they have some guys that are handy. Doesn't have to be,
no, you don't need a general contractor.
No,
you will be the general contractor. You will manage them.
I'll manage the whole thing. I'll be active. So I just was trying to basically toss this out there. Does it, does that sound crazy? Does anybody else ever done this? Feedback at businessbrain.show. Tell me if I've got it right.
I have a friend, drummer friend down in Connecticut, where this is actually his job. Like he is hired by it, but it's not somebody's vacation property. It's somebody like the house that they live in.
It's like the caretaker kind of person.
He's their caretaker of the house. Correct. He does. It's exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, the guy that it's a husband and wife. They're empty nesters. The guy works on Wall Street. He works long hours and makes more than enough money to pay the contractor. He likes to come home and put on his slippers and read the newspaper. And he wants the rest of it taken care of.
Yeah.
And so this guy takes care of it. There's nothing wrong with this.
This would be an experiment. So I would try it for a year. I would hire this person and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. Make sure it's.
I think it's a good idea, man.
Yeah. Okay. I have another person in my household I have to convince that it's a good idea. But if I can do that.
Turns out it's not me.
Yeah. No, Dave said it was fine. Let's go. So we'll try that out. But if you've ever done anything like that, I'd love your feedback. You can, I put the email up there, but send us a message. But that's not what we're really going to talk about today. Here's
all right, folks. Have you ever felt like you're leaving money on the table? Like forgetting where you put the last piece of cake in the fridge? Well, we've got something even better than cake. Our sponsor, Keeper. As an entrepreneur, I've used Keeper, and let me tell you, it's like having a financial wizard on my team, minus the robes and wands. Keeper is a tax app that automatically scans my expenses, finds me those sweet tax deductions, and categorizes everything for my taxes. No more tea-stained receipts or juggling janky spreadsheets, just pure, organized brilliance. One of my favorite things about Keeper, I can see my tax savings in real time. It's like watching my refund grow with every purchase. And on average, Keeper users get an extra $1,200 back. It's freaking amazing, and I'm looking forward to using it as now I've become a Keeper user, right? So if you want to automate your expense tracking and make tax season feel like a walk in the park, you can now utilize the power of AI to automate your expense tracking, find tax deductions, and get a way bigger tax refund next year. For a limited time only, listeners here of Business Brain, you can try Keeper for free with our exclusive link at keepertax.com/business and get 10% off your subscription if you love it. That's a free trial plus 10% off your subscription at keepertax.com/business. This thing's awesome, and our thanks to Keeper for sponsoring this episode. All right, Shannon, we talked about it in the intro here that we always say that ideas on their own aren't valuable. You need to take action with the idea. You need to implement something with it. Great, fine. Sometimes you're not just the only one that needs buy-in on your idea, are you? And you got to get other people on board, and so presenting the ideas becomes important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the thesis here is how you present the idea is just as important as the idea yourself, the idea itself.
Oh,
and
yes.
Yeah. And so I just want to break down some kind of, I've been looking at this and trying to figure out, what are the ins and outs of how you make these presentations or discussions, whether you're doing it on Zoom, whether you're doing it, whatever, in person, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's a big group of people, how you get the idea across. Like one of the things that I use all the time is your 2-week experiment trick, right? Is getting people on board with what may sound like, change is scary to a lot of people. So, when you're pitching something, this concept that Dave, we've done a show or so about it, is that rather than say, hey, this is going to be the way it is and it's my way or the highway, it's like, look, even though you've decided that it's your way or the highway,
you don't need to say that.
No. What you say is, hey, let's do a 2-week experiment and let's see how this works. And then it gives you some wiggle room to really look at it and go, well, this is what worked. Maybe we could tweak it a little bit, but that is, I love that concept. And another part of this, just a few things that I wanted to talk about is how to use your body when you're making these presentations, right? Really, really important. And that is whether you're doing it on Zoom, whether you're doing it in person, whatever it is. And some of that stuff can be just as simple as leaning forward when you want to make your point. Using silence when you want to put the exclamation point on something. Very important. And being self-aware of it and doing things like you're being expressive with your face. Your eyebrows are huge, right? Well, not literally, but
but yes, being and with your voice too.
Your voice. Yes.
It's fascinating. This morning before we came to record this episode, I started telling a lot of our ad agency partners about that private pixel thing that I created. Yep.
Yeah.
And there are things about it that the industry's not, it doesn't solve all the problems for everybody, right? It keeps the listener's data private, but that means you can't track them.
Yeah.
It means you can confirm that they listened or that they downloaded the ad, but that's about as far as it goes. We get some some geographic data, I should say. And everybody that I have presented it to, I've presented it to a lot of people so far, including like the podcast team at Apple.
Okay.
The people, one ad agency was sort of, they're a nerdy ad agency, so I wanted to run it by them. I've showed it to 3 or 4 sort of nerdy enough podcasters that would understand what's going on, because I want people to poke holes in this.
Yeah, sure.
But I also want to get them on board. And a nice way to get them on board is to ask them, will you poke some holes in this thing? If they can't find holes, then they're going to be more they're going to be more receptive to it. But now I've started just telling our ad agency partners, hey, we have this thing. I want to tell you about it. I want to get on a call and show it to you. Here's the gist of what it does, but that's it. And several people are like, this is great. I want to introduce you to our, the tech people here that work on this stuff and awesome. So I'm getting all these calls set up, which is amazing. It's exactly what I wanted. One of the people was like, it started asking very specific questions that made it clear that even from my very loose description, he understood at least a good portion of what this does and what it doesn't do. And he was like, well, but if you're doing this, how could you still do this? Or maybe you can't do this. I want to know more. And I'm like, great, let's set up a call. And like, certainly, I said in the email, and maybe this was a mistake, I said, certainly I could type it all out, but it's way better if we have an interactive conversation so I can answer your questions. And his response was, let's do both. Oh. I'm a visual person. I like to read. And so I will do both.
Sure.
But we're going to have the conversation first.
Yeah,
because
smart.
I know how to pitch this thing. I've done it enough now. This show being one of the places, but you were going to be receptive to it anyway. Like I've done it to people that might not have been so receptive to it, and I've learned how to kind of pace the introduction of it and describe the problem and then show the solution and be efficient about it, all those things. And there's no way in the world that I'm going to try and do that via an email.
No way.
No way.
Super smart to do the live discussion beforehand. That's one of the reasons I use Loom all the time.
Yes,
I can go through it, and I can, even if it's a document or something that I've created, like typically I'm jumping on some website or whatever, but even if it's something that I've written and I want to go through it with, someone, I'll just create a quick Loom video. I'm down in the corner, my face in a little circle, and I can walk through, give the inflections, do, use hand gestures, all that kind of stuff. And you don't want to.
It's not as I would say interactive is the best.
Yes.
Loom would be, not as good as that, but certainly way better than an email.
Just an email. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like way better. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, one of the things, like when you're listening to someone, you can't have no boring faces, right? You just can't.
No.
You have to emote. I mean, you have
and
to
keep it short too.
Yeah. That's right. Everybody thinks it needs to be, you just need to get it out and then be quiet and answer questions, go back and forth. I love this, using your hands. It's one of the issues I have with Zoom is a lot of times if it's just your face, you can't get, you're crossed. Of course, you're listening in your car or whatever it is, but on our live stream, you can see us gesturing more.
Yeah.
One of the other things I think it's really important is to learn to take up space, because everybody's looking at you. I listened to a speaking coach one time talk about there's a measurement between your ears and your shoulders, right? Between the bottom of your ears and the tops of your shoulders. And the farther away you can get them when you're speaking, the better.
Long neck, you mean?
Yes, long neck. I like that.
Okay.
Check out this guy's long neck. So, because if you're hunched up and you're tense,
yes,
you want to be relaxed. You want to drop your shoulders, put your shoulders back, take up more space. It gives you more credibility. People feel more comfortable watching you, right?
I like it.
If your body is uncomfortable, people are uncomfortable for you.
Your voice is going to be uncomfortable. No, you need it. You're on stage. Like anytime I do one of these things, I'm on stage. And what I also have learned, and with this, it's fairly easy because I can send along a piece of JavaScript code. I'm happy to share the thing that I wrote. Like the whole point of it eventually is to share it. I want to nitpick it first before we start publishing it. But I'm at this point, I'm happy to show it. As an aside, it's been a long time, Shannon, since I've had a code review done. That's when some other programmer looks at your work. I have never had a code review done by Apple before. And so while this is not officially a code review, my code is in the hands of Apple engineers. So it essentially is a little bit intimidating, but also exciting.
Both.
It's great. Yeah. But have a way to wrap the presentation, even with Q&A, right? Like, so, you do your thing. Yeah. People are going to have questions about your idea. Great. Yes, I've put something, whatever it is, together. I'd love to send that to you and end it before they get bored with the discussion about your idea. End it when everybody's still, oh, yes, I'd love to learn more. Great.
Yep.
You know what? I'll answer some of your questions here, but I think you're better off looking at this now. Now that you understand the gist,
always
go look at this.
More. Yeah.
You got to leave them, always leave them wanting more.
That's the 2-hour cocktail trick, right? I don't know if you know this guy, Nick, somebody or other, but his whole thing is to bring people together. You have a 2-hour party, but it starts and ends, and you... That's it. You kick them out after 2 hours because it leaves everybody wanting to connect more. So I think that's good. So lastly, one of the things that, everybody kind of wants to be funny at some point and connect with your audience. And some people are good at it. Some people are not. So the way I think you think about it is you want to laugh and smile with your audience. So you want to pick up on their cues. If you say something and people kind of start laughing or smiling, maybe you slow down a little bit and lean into that a little bit more of what you just talked about. That way,
don't blow past them.
Yeah. Don't recognize those moments to connect with people. Instead of just tossing some joke out there that you have no idea that's gonna fly.
Yeah.
And then obviously the last one's very obvious. It's eye contact. I have a hard time with this on being on Zoom all the time.
Everybody stares at themselves on Zoom.
Yeah.
That's all people do.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, if I'm really looking at the camera right now, is that how you're seeing my eyes? And so it's a challenge. So you have to practice how, do some practice calls or whatever, because this is just the world we live in.
Yes.
You got to get comfortable with that. But
record yourself.
yeah,
And then watch that back. Record yourself as
very
though
difficult, but it's
I
important.
know, but
It's important.
that's how you get better. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
that's my take on this concept that the way you present ideas is equally as important as the idea itself. I'd love to hear your tips that we could share with everybody else. Feedback at businessbrain.show. Or find us on X at Dave Hamilton or at Shannon Jean. Come connect with us.
Absolutely. Like he said, feedback at businessbrain.show. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. Easy for me to say. Keep living that charmed life. We'll see you Friday. Sweet.
Got it. Okay, good. All right. I'm going to hire that person. I'm going to do this experiment. And I'm going to come back.
It's a good experiment.
I think it is. It is an experiment.
If you can hire somebody for that rate, like that's the trick is right now, contractors are making buku bucks.
This can't be a contractor.
No,
right?
you don't.
He's got to be like just like a handyman that you say, hey, you know what? I'll normalize your income for you. Maybe I have to pay him, maybe I have to pay him $5,000 a month. I don't know. I'm not going to.
Yeah, no.
Some limit.
I know some people around here. I candidly, I have like a lot of artist and musician friends who are great with stuff like this. They want time to do their stuff in the evenings, but would love. This is it is skilled labor.
It is.
It's
skilled.
just I think it's an untapped market of skilled labor. I think you're right that there are people out there.
I'm going to find out.
This.
Yeah, you got to ask the right.
Yeah, you will find out.
I'm going to document this so I can talk about it, and I'm going to.
Great.
What's the worst that can happen?
You'll fail. That's the worst that happens.
That's it. So
that's it. Like that. I don't say that like to be in jest.
No,
like, that's the worst thing. You'll fail.
Yeah, I've failed over and over. Mistakes are tuition. So I'll learn something, and I'll say, next time I do it, I can't hire this type of person, or I can't do this, and so maybe
you'll learn.
Maybe it goes 3 months and it doesn't work, or maybe it goes 8 months and it works, or the whole year. You never know.
Yeah.
So those
just because you have budgeted to spend this money for a year doesn't mean you have to spend it for a year if the experiment has proven to fail before that. That's right. Yeah.
And a lot of what I want isn't super skilled. It's just like basic. Like, can you stain my house or paint the stain the deck and paint my house or whatever, all these kinds of things. So we'll have to see. It'll be interesting. It will be. It's always interesting around here. So if you're watching the live stream, Dave is fiddling the knobs and pushing the buttons, getting that first episode ready to go into production as soon as we're done. We call ourselves lazy podcasters because we don't like to do much editing. What we like to do is create.
We prepare and create. That's it.
Yeah. And so that's way more fun than doing all this crazy stuff, and it may look great on the outside, but we want to push this content out as quick as we can, and we've done this for 10 years, so we get to make that decision.
we do get to make that decision. That's right.
And your podcast can be different, So
I encourage you to make a podcast that's different than this one. It's better for all of us. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, so, I'm ready to rock with 584.
I am ready for the next episode. This will be episode 584, right?
For Casual Friday. You got it.
Perfect.
Yep, here we go. Do you ever want to do the intros for these?
No, never.
Okay,
never.
All right. I don't mean
you got
to just.
No, I'm happy.
Okay,
for
great.
You to do it. Yeah, do it.
Okay, great. Here we go. Business Brain, episode 584 for Casual Friday, September 20th, National String Cheese Day, 2024. Woo! Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain. Welcome back to Business Brain, the show where we take several ideas, we crunch them, we analyze them, we use them to tune our business brains each and every episode. Our sponsor for this episode is keepertax.com/business. This cool service where it helps you, uses AI to track expenses and find deductions and get a bigger tax refund and you can get 10% off at keepertax.com/business. We'll talk more in depth about that in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And I'm still out here in Lafayette, California. How's it going, man?
It's going happy. It is Happy Friday. Yeah, for sure. I have a question for you. For me, that I've been sort of struggling with. I maintain a presence on many different social networks: X, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads. There's one more. I don't know. Oh, and Mastodon. I've got, and Threads is linked to Mastodon now too. And this is not going to come as a great surprise, Shannon. I don't have unlimited time. Yeah. I have to limit the amount of time, just by definition, that I spend on anything, including on social media. And the problem is I have different audiences in different places. Facebook is friends, family, certainly, musicians and nerds. Okay. I have 3 podcasts that I do. I do this one for, business people. I do Gig Gab for musicians, and I do Mac Geek Gab for tech nerds. Everybody's a nerd in all those things, but tech people, right? My presence on X is the followers that I have on X is almost exclusively the tech side, the Mac Geek Gab stuff. I know that the audience for Gig Gab is primarily going to be on Instagram.
Okay.
Because that's where musicians tend to live. Yep. I know that a lot of the tech audience is moving to Threads. There's a big, the business audience is developing on X.
I see.
The tech audience is moving from X to Threads. Not to say all of it. There's still a healthy tech audience there. But But it's where am I supposed to spend my time? And there's no simple answer to that question. I think for Gig Gab, the answer is pretty simple. It's Gig Gab should be using Instagram. Okay, great, fine. But for the rest of it, it's and I think for this show, Business Brain, I think X and LinkedIn are probably the places to be. For Mac Geek Gab, it's sort of spread around. So, but I have to make choices. I don't think this sort of what I'm calling a shotgun approach, but it's a pretty weak shotgun because I've only got so much propellant here. So is it sniper or shotgun? I don't know if those are the right words to use in today's fragile world, but
yes.
Given everything going on, but yeah.
I have been studying this because I have some vested interest in this, and I'm working on growing some stuff on social media and everything.
Yes,
From my take, there's 2 aspects of it. I believe you need to divide and conquer. That you should focus. Now, it's a little different with you because you have let's say 3 channels that you're trying to. So that's why I have a second part of this. But the divide and conquer is that.
I mean, it is all just me.
Well, that's second part. So divide and conquer is you focus on one channel until you really get that one figured out, and what how the posts things should be curated, what kind of feedback gets, how much time each platform takes. You'll have a much better idea. Let's say you focused on Instagram. It's man, I'm just going to focus on this right now. I'm going to learn everything I can over the next time frame.
So this is interesting. You're not saying just focus there for the content. You're saying focus there to learn logistics of the platform, how it works.
Yeah, yes. Because I don't think just like I don't know certain platforms, and it's taken me months and months to learn how to on X and what sort of engagement I want, because followers for the sake of followers and views for the sake of views is not the way to go. You want fans, right? And you want people that value your stuff. And so learning one at a time, and I know this works because I just had a conversation with someone that has 250,000 followers on one platform, and then they left and went to another one. And because they had all those followers on one platform, it accelerated their growth on the next platform that they targeted. And that was very beneficial to them.
Yes.
But they're in one. It's like one vertical, one channel, right? You kinda got multiples, which leads me to my second thing is that you need a content manager.
Yeah, I have one.
Okay. They need to take that's
Yes.
you focus on one platform and they take your content and push it to the others. You don't do them all.
Got it.
I don't go on LinkedIn at all anymore. I just can't. I don't have time.
Yes.
So my X content, I have a content manager. They don't write content for me, but they curate it to work on the various platforms.
No, and this is the thing that I changed recently, which was I told Sadie, I was like, listen, I work for you now.
There you go. It's exactly right.
You tell me I'm going to dedicate an afternoon a week to creating content for you. You tell me what you want, and it's up to me to make it. And if I don't make it, you get to yell at me.
Yep.
But that's how that's going to work.
The flipping the script where they're telling you what to do is awesome.
Yeah.
The other concept that I really like is there's a guy on X who I follow, Girdley at Girdley. Business guy, very successful, and he shares his concept because he faces the same time constraints that we all do.
Yeah.
And he does a 1 to 2 hour meeting on Monday, and all his team, he's got like 4 people that work for him that manage all this. They basically interview him. And that is the content they create each week. They talk about certain topics. They ask certain questions. He brings up things he wants to focus on that week, and they glean all that audio that they're recording. And that's the content that they're pushing out on all these various platforms. And he meets with them once a week. It's interesting, right?
I love this.
Yeah, because it's your words.
There's accountability too. It's like it's not like, well, I'll do this when I have time. It's like we have scheduled this together. I got to be there.
It's the start of the week.
Yeah.
We meet, we do it now with the AI, taking notes and flipping stuff and all that kind of stuff. You can have some great conversations, and they take off, and of course in between there you could dip in and do things.
Of course, but it just keeps the system going.
Yeah, keeps the system going, and so they're creating YouTube shorts out of it, YouTube videos, Instagram posts, X posts, threads. I'm sure everything, Facebook, and there's some great technology like Cast Magic is another one that castmagic.io or .ai. I don't know what it is.
It is .io. You are correct.
.io.
Yep.
That, you can push any of your feeds, your social feeds to it, and it'll create an abundance of content based on that to push to other platforms. It's an amazing piece of technology. I push our feed from this podcast to it to help me get content ideas. And it makes up. So 2 things: focus on one at the beginning till you really get it figured out, and then the second one is let your content manager manage the other stuff for you.
All right, folks, have you ever felt like you're leaving money on the table? Like forgetting where you put the last piece of cake in the fridge? Well, we've got something even better than cake. Our sponsor, Keeper. As an entrepreneur, I've used Keeper, and let me tell you, it's like having a financial wizard on my team, minus the robes and wands. Keeper is a tax app that automatically scans my expenses, finds me those sweet tax deductions, and categorizes everything for my taxes. No more tea-stained receipts or juggling janky spreadsheets, just pure, organized brilliance. One of my favorite things about Keeper, I can see my tax savings in real time. It's like watching my refund grow with every purchase. And on average, Keeper users get an extra $1,200 back. It's freaking amazing. And I'm looking forward to using it as now I've become a Keeper user, right? So if you want to automate your expense tracking and make tax season feel like a walk in the park, you can now utilize the power of AI to automate your expense tracking, find tax deductions, and get a way bigger tax refund next year. For a limited time only, listeners here of Business Brain, you can try Keeper for free with our exclusive link at keepertax.com/business and get 10% off your subscription if you love it. That's a free trial plus 10% off your subscription at keepertax.com/business. This thing's awesome, and our thanks to Keeper for sponsoring this episode. All right, Shannon. We really started the episode by, if we zoom out a little bit,
Sure.
talking about being intentional with our time.
Yeah, we
And that's-
did. And there's a lot to that. That's such a, it's a easy sentence, but it's massive. And before we started recording, I mentioned to you that I was stepping down from a volunteer organization that I'm involved in. And that's exactly right. And you nailed it. You're like, oh, because I said, maybe we should talk about it on the show. And you said, yeah, because it's all about being intentional with your time. So I guess I assign obviously value to my time, and I'm an energy monster. I'm always looking for energy, and I have a lot of energy to give, and I'm all in, man. When I'm ready to go, that's why we still record after 10 years, because both of us have a lot of energy to keep this thing going, right? And ups
Yes.
and downs, things
Of course.
work, things don't. Try new things. You got to cut. Record 4 episodes in one day. All those challenges, but like this particular organization that I've spent about 3 years being involved in, kind of got lost in the bureaucracy, in trying to get things done. It would be as if we sat and talked for 3 years before we recorded our first episode of Business Brain.
Oh, no.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. I've been in bands like that.
Brutal.
Where it's like,
Brutal.
oh, yeah, we rehearse every week. I'm like, okay, well, what's the schedule? What's the plan?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll figure that out.
No.
You let me know when you do.
Yeah. It's a bad system, and there's no bias to action. And the good thing is
it's the bias to action.
Yeah.
That's the, yeah. Yes.
And so thinking about how you spend your time, we talk about time a lot in various, formats here on the show. Time you spend in your business, time you spend with your family, the way you manage your health. I mean, all these things are impacted. And I just found myself having so much kind of negativity piled up in this concept of me being involved and helping run this organization that I finally, and I'm, maybe it's part of the two. It's like I always consider myself the opposite of someone that quits, right? Because
yes,
I'm the opposite, man. I'm the dude that never stops. But at this, my mental health was starting to really take a toll, or this organization, and I was so frustrated. Finally, I said, you know what? I've done a lot of good for this group. I brought in a bunch of very qualified people to help run it. And after 3 years, someone else can take over now and get it. And because the energy I was getting is very negative, not positive. And I'm looking for, I do this show because we get to talk every week. That's it.
Same.
That's it. It's the main
That's
reason.
it. Yep.
Yeah. And
this is interesting. So you and I do the same thing. I have massive FOMO of opportunities, right? I want to say yes to every opportunity that comes across my desk, and I often do, oftentimes to my detriment.
Yes.
Been there. Time-wise, yep. And then occasionally I have to sit myself down, as I did several weeks ago, and sell myself on quitting. And you just described the same thing. Like you just went through it. You just justified why. And
Talked
it's like,
to my wife
dude,
about it.
You don't have to justify this. Like, do you want out? Just out. But I'm the same way. I'm not. I resemble this.
Yes.
But you're right. Being in tune with your mental health. And like that gut check of like, if I feel like I'm going to do something and I'm dreading it, that's a good indicator of like, well, is it just this one time that I'm dreading it? Because that happens sometimes. You're not in the mood. Yeah, right. But if it's happening every time, Steve Jobs had that thing where he looked in the mirror every morning and said, if this were the last day of my life, would I do what I'm about to go do today? And while that's a somewhat morbid way to look at it, it does send a message. Like,
it does.
Be intentional with your time.
Yeah.
Do the things that bring value to you.
Yep. And I think you can think like that in your personal life and your professional life too. How you.
Well, because they're intertwined. They are. Like we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, I can have 3 different types of audiences, but it's all me. At the end of the day, it's all me.
Yeah, so it's still a challenge because I just did this,
Yeah.
this last week, and you have to deal with every person that then reaches out, and oh no, why, how, this, that, the other thing. So it's coming up with the right way to frame it because, you don't want to talk bad about anybody, right? It's
No, but you also don't want to leave it nebulous.
Correct. You want to tell them why. Yeah.
Well, you do want to tell them why, but not in a way that leads them to think they can open the door to solve the problem. Because you and I are salespeople, right?
That's right.
If somebody puts an objection on the table, it is our job to take the objection away, right? That's sales. I mean, it's a big part of sales anyway. So you have to be really careful. I tell people, I need to stop doing this. I'm happy to tell you why, but the decision has been made.
I'm already done. Yeah.
It's already done.
I've been through a little bit of that here. This for sure.
I'm sure you have. When I tell bands that either I auditioned for a bunch of bands this summer, I only chose one of them in the end, which was the point of it. But I was offered gigs by probably 5 different bands, which is flattering and a nice validation of my skills and all of those things. It's great. But I had to turn down, 4 of them. And one of them, I was very careful to be clear about, yes, it's a no for me right now. But it's not you, it's me. I'm looking for something very specific. And you're not it, and so I want to remain on good terms. There was no reason for it to turn ugly because there was nothing ugly about it.
Right,
it was you've offered me this thing, and I've chosen. It's every audition is a mutual audition, and it's all that stuff. And I had one of them that just kept kind of begging, and it was and I finally had to tell them what was the truth, but it took me a little while to phrase it. It was like, if I join your band, I am going to sap you of the joy of what you're doing because you're doing this more for fun than you are. Not that for me, it is all fun too, but the productivity of the band is part of what is fun for me. And just getting together and hanging out for the sake of hanging out, I already have that covered in my life.
Looking for something different. Yeah.
I don't need a new group of friends. I anticipate that if I'm in a band with people, we probably will become friends. But I'm not looking for a new group of friends. I'm looking for a productive band.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sap you of that joy if I join. And I explained it to him. Here's the 4 things. Yeah. And he was like, I appreciate that. You're welcome.
I made it pretty clear of, hey, this is, this is where we're at. I'm, I can't put any more energy into this. My energy is better focused doing something else and helping another different group, and I still want to be involved in those kinds of things. But it brings up an interesting question from a business standpoint. If you're pushing on an experiment, on a new business, on a side hustle, when do you know when you should throw in the towel? And you got to think about, what are the opportunity costs that I'm missing because I'm focused on this thing?
Yep.
How is it impacting, my mental health, my financial health, all these kinds of things. So you really have to think about it. And I think there's a way to the way you frame it to yourself and the discussion you have in your head is very important.
Yes.
Especially if you're like us, where we just can't. I barely can live with the concept that I would stop doing something, right? Because I preach it every day of never stopping and just grinding. But at some point, you do have to make a decision.
You got to pull the plug or not pull the plug. Well,
or not.
For me, it was obvious that I was getting to a tipping point for myself this summer where I had too much, and I was not able to keep up. I found a version of my limit, and it was like, okay, so if I stay on this path, I will wind up not doing something by default, and I don't want default to be the thing to figure that out. I want to intentionally choose the thing I'm taking out. And so I did. That was part of my experiment for the summer, was to kind of overdo it with the music thing and figure some things out and then settle it in, which is what I've done. And so far I think it's working. So
that's good. So thanks for some good business therapy. And it's
That's what we do.
Being intentional with your time. Where are you focusing it every day? How much, you carve out for your family, all those kind of really critical stuff that we just will continue to talk about here because it impacts us all.
That's what we do. Yep. Thanks for hanging out, folks. Feedback at businessbrain.show. We want to hear from you. Shannon, I think we need to do a giveaway. I think we need we need to figure something out here. So
okay.
we'll figure that out. We'll let you know. Have a great weekend. Keep on living that charmed life. We'll see you next week. And we're out.
I love the giveaway.
Sweet.
That's a great. We need to do some good lead magnets as well to get people in the subscribe, follow.
Yes.
The challenge with this business is tracking that. Oh yeah, I follow you now. Where's the true value? What is the most important thing we want the listener to do? Do we want them to leave a review for us, and then that gets them entered into winning something? Do we want them to follow the podcast? Of course, we want them to do all these things. But
what's the primary thing?
What's the priority? Do we want to follow? Do we want them to sign up for our newsletter so that they're ours? But we really don't do much with the newsletter other than distribute information, which is great. But there is a whole nother level of things that we could be doing with that. And I kind of think right now the most valuable thing might be to have them go leave a review for us.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You're not. What did I do here? What did I do wrong?
No, keep going. You're doing. Yeah. So we're in between shows right now. We're actually normally we wrap up, but we're doing 4 episodes this week because I'm gone next week. My kid is getting married, and we're traveling to go to that, and it's going to be amazing.
Bring in the chapters.
And then we're getting ready we'll record the September 25th and the September 27th. Easy for me to say. Episodes coming up. We're going to talk about hiring. We're going to talk about accountability charts. We're going to do an AI update and talk about the tools that Dave and I are using right now. And then we're going to talk about a new business for me. So it's going to be cool. I'm glad you're on the live stream. It's going to be good. And
why doesn't this work? That's
doesn't want to work.
really
Something
weird.
broke.
Yeah, something broke. Oh, I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, I'll figure it
an
out.
Error in saving your production.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Because it logged me out. That's really fascinating.
There you go. That's crazy.
Okay.
Yes.
That will do it. That's going to answer my question. Okay.
Awesome. That's great.
Now I'm almost there.
Okay, perfect. That was a good episode. All that time and the social media stuff is really interesting. I think it's great.
Yes.
Yes. And we're going to talk about accountability charts. So what we do in between these shows is basically prep to do the production of the show. So it's so much faster. So Dave gets everything ready, pushes it out. And then after the episode, after we record it and stream it, I jump up, do about another 10 minutes or so of work per episode, create an image, post some, create a name for the show, do a few links, different things, run it through a couple of processes so the audio sounds better, and then we post it. So it's fast. We try to get this stuff up quick so there's no barriers.
Eliminating the friction points, man.
Yeah. I have this concept I call beware the onces. Like, once we get some graphics, we'll do this.
Yeah,
once
can't do that.
I run it through this thingamajig, I'll do that. And then it takes hours to prep a show. So we just strip it down and push it out. It's worked out really well for us.
It has. Here. We've got a good thing. I did have a thought.
Yes.
But I don't want to. Well, we could change it for now. But we always do like the intro topic and then the meat. What if we switched that and did the meat and then an outro topic?
That's fine with me.
I don't know. I don't know.
Happy.
I don't know. I don't know what's better. Yep. All right.
Yeah, it's a good question. Let's
I don't know that our listeners would articulate a difference between what we call an intro topic and what we call the meat of the show.
Yeah, the intro topic.
I think it's just 2 topics.
It is kind of just 2 topics. I have this thing the intro is a little shorter, and it leads us into a sponsor break if there's one.
Yes.
And then it goes into another
but it's
topic.
two.
It's just 2 topics.
I think we call it our first topic and our second topic.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
There we
the
go.
thing. You and I know that the intro topic is geared to be shorter, and it usually is. But
the last intro topic was almost could have been the show.
Was the show? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Yeah, I have time as long as we don't go long-winded on both of these next ones.
Okay.
I'm good.
Just,
so
I see you in the chat. Just hit me up if we're,
okay. Well, I tell you what. Here's the signal that we should wrap up each topic is when I drop the thing.
That. Okay.
Right, and then that'll be another minute or two or whatever. But we're at a point.
Okay.
So
that sounds great.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Great.
Sounds good.
Let's make the magic happen.
Yeah.
Here goes nothing. Business Brain, episode 585 for Wednesday, September 25th, National Daughters Day, 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome back to Business Brain, the show where we take a few ideas, we dissect them, we crunch them, we analyze them, we use them to tune our business brains every single time we get together. Our sponsor for this episode is Shopify.com/businessbrain. That's where you can go to sign up for a $1 per month trial period. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And out here in Northern California, I'm Shannon Jean. Man, I love Shopify. Gosh,
Same.
They're the best. Just,
They make life super easy. Yep.
Yeah, they're good to get and help a lot of small businesses, which I love.
Which is great. Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Hey, we talk about org charts a lot. We talk about maybe not a lot, but enough about why it's so important to create an org chart, even if you're the only person in the company. So you put your name in every one of those boxes, and it helps build your, break out whatever all the roles are that are required to run your business. So as you start hiring people, you can pump them in. I saw this thing the other day that I thought was pretty good, is adding accountability to your org chart. So instead of just like putting the function, the name of it, okay, Shannon, and he's the CFO. That would never happen, but because I'm not the finance guy, or Shannon is a sales manager, or whatever. All these things.
Sure, yeah.
Well,
I mean, when you start the business, you would be the CFO, whether you're good at that or not.
Yeah, that's true. But what in addition to, you say, okay, you're going to talk about what your role is, the role of that person is in that. So if you're the CFO or managing, you and your name's on there, you are supervising payables, overseeing receivables, you're managing the budget, and you're creating financial forecasts. So you're adding
the responsibilities.
Responsibility, that's my better word. Yeah.
I like that.
Into the chart. So anyone that looks at the chart and says, hey, I have this thing, or I have an idea, I have a problem, I need help with, they look at the org chart and they know who to go to because it lists who's responsible for what. Because it may not be, it may not, on the surface think that, wow, if I have a budget question, who do I go talk to? Or if I'm interested in, I got a person I want to introduce that maybe we could sell to, is it the salesperson?
This is brilliant, because obviously on day one, assuming you are starting as a solopreneur, it doesn't matter. No, right? I mean, the questions all go to you.
Yes.
But if as you start to grow the business, the questions are all still going to go to you.
Yeah, you want to,
and you have to transact for every one of them. Yeah. Even if you're an excellent delegator, if you've got people asking you who to go to, you're not as excellent as you think you are. And I say this as someone who is a career terrible delegator. I'm good at delegating. I'm just terrible at delegation. Like once I decide to delegate, I know I know how to do it. Like I have the skill. It's just I don't do it as often as I should. And if you can build a chart that fields those requests before they ever make it to your desk, that's huge.
And put it on the wall right outside your office.
Put it on the wall. Yeah. Does this answer your question?
So when you're walking in, it's like, and I do. Obviously, you want that interaction with your employees,
of course.
But you
But
also want to encourage them to go to the right person because it will save
that's
time.
efficient.
It's efficient.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to do it. So I thought that was pretty cool. So adding the responsibilities to your org chart, I think it's it's a great upgrade to your org chart.
All right, folks, you know that success in business isn't just about having a great product, right? It's about the business behind the business, making sales as easy as a walk in the park for your customers. Take companies like Feastables by Mr. Beast or even Mattel. Sure, they've got demand, killer branding, and influence-driven marketing, but the real secret behind their success? Our sponsor, Shopify. That's right. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And their not-so-secret weapon, Shop Pay, which boosts conversions by up to 50%. Less abandoned carts, more cha-ching moments. I've used Shopify with one of my other businesses, and soon I'm setting it up for my Gig Gab podcast merch store. It's ridiculously simple to use, and no matter where your customers are, online, in-store, or lost in their social media scroll, Shopify is ready to sell for you. So if you're serious about growing your business, the secret's out. Businesses that want to grow, grow with Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout as Mr. Beast uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/businessbrain, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. All right, Shannon, I need a little bit of, maybe this is business therapy, maybe it's justification. Maybe I've kind of already decided to do this,
okay.
But I could be talked out of it, I suppose.
Okay.
Give
me to me.
Yeah, at Backbeat, I know that adding another sales rep would help us. I believe. Right. I mean, it's anytime you do anything, it's an unknown. It's a risk, right? But I'm fairly confident that I would like to move a lot of the stuff that I'm doing to somebody else so that I can do other things. And that's fine. Like that, like all of those things are great. And should be business 101 or at least business 201, I guess. I generally, when I add new people to the team, I generally fund it out of cash flow. Okay. I plan to fund it out of cash flow, right? I know.
Yes.
And I make a commitment to myself whenever I bring a new person on that I can do this for 6 months. The business can afford to do this for 6 months. Like, we're going to do this. Again, your thing with the guy that you were going to hire for a year. If it doesn't work out, I don't have to keep them around for 6 months. But
yes.
I don't question the finances of it for 6 months. I know, okay, we've looked at this and all that stuff. And all of that's true. I can hire out of the war chest of the business, but I'm not sure I'll be hiring out of cash flow. I'm not fully confident that cash flow might cover this and then we're great. But either way,
you may go in the hole for a certain period of time. Yeah.
Correct. Yep. And I'm okay with that, but it's an atypical path for me.
So you don't,
and this might actually open up a whole world for me, right? Yeah. Hiring out of the war chest as opposed to cash flow, because basically I'm hiring out of past cash flow. It's not
Yeah. And is this person? You paying? It's a commission salesperson.
It's going to be both. It'll be a base salary that's fairly low in terms of what their job should earn long term, right?
Got it.
So because it's sales, like that's how that works.
Of course. So you're somewhat protected there because you're not going out and just hiring a full cost another employee that you're going to pay whether they get the job done or not, right?
Correct. And commissions are paid out of cash flow. So I guess in that sense, it's half. It's half and half. Yeah.
And I mean,
except a lot of the commissions that I'll be paying are things that I have not paid commission on thus far with the business.
Oh,
because I'm
that's a total different conversation.
That's interesting. I'm taking clients that I have and moving them to someone else.
Gotcha.
So the business from these clients I don't pay myself a commission.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, it's,
Yes.
just whatever. So so there's that,
Yeah,
right? Like
that's right.
so in a sense, it is a new burden on cash flow in
Yes.
both ways. Yes.
Yeah. I think that if, especially because the context is it's going to free up more time, your time.
That's the key.
That is going to allow you to exponentially accelerate other things, whether it's, I'm focusing on this business now. I'll have more time. I'll have, a few hours a day extra or whatever it is. And even maybe not even your time during the day, but the time in your brain that you're always thinking of, I've got to follow up with this guy. I've got to manage this person, this client. You're now going to be just managing the salesperson.
That's right.
Give them.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll get some house accounts.
There will be a transition period, of course, where I'm transitioning to her and like doing these things.
Yeah.
And
I think
stuff,
that's.
but,
I mean, we've done very similar things. I have one question that's, I don't know if it's related to this or not, but I'm curious. We always get when we gave house accounts, we called them. It's like, hey, you're going to immediately get these house accounts that we already have, and you manage them. But after a certain period of time, we reverted house accounts back to the company. So we always had a carrot for the salesperson to go get new business. It wasn't enough that you just kept your good. So, and it varies with every business. It could be that every year, a certain percentage of your older accounts, these historical accounts, maybe they're 2 years old, you're going to not get commission on those anymore. Or the commission structure changes.
It's different. Yeah,
it's different because it's maintenance mode. You're not selling as much anymore, and that's a different skill. And we had relationship people because it became
in our keep going. Actually, I have an answer for this.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
The way I learned this is I realized that after a while, the customer service department becomes more important to the relationship than the salesperson. The salesperson is getting the customer and managing it, especially in the beginning, going, bringing these people, selling everything, getting them going, and they need to be rewarded for that. But after, I don't know, a year, let's say, use that as an example, the customer service department is managing the relationship and the success, it's customer success. They're the ones making sure everything is working great for that customer. So we would always revert some of those accounts back to the house, as we called it. Not like I owned a casino, but
No, this is interesting. Part of the reason that I'm doing this is, I always classify periods of time with Backbeat as either periods of time where we had so much business that it really is dependent on the economy.
Yeah.
Like so much of it. Sometimes the economy is such that we are just order takers, and other times we actually have to do our job and sell, right?
Sure.
And we are currently, and have been for about the last year and a half, the way the economy is, we have been in a period where we have to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of these house accounts that were on kind of just, I don't want to call them maintenance mode, but kind of autopilot.
Yeah.
They now need more
sales
of our attention. Yep. So it is that's the reason I'm doing this. Is those accounts are no longer house just accounts. In the customer. They aren't house accounts, right? I mean, yes, they. I can't treat them as house accounts. Correct.
Yeah, I think that the takeaway for me is that you have to be able to go both ways. So if the salesperson finds themselves back into like, wow, man, we really have to get back involved. They need to get their
commission back.
And I think that's great if that happens, because these people are tools in your arsenal, right? They're your soldiers. So you reward them one way or not. And, I was always happy to like, okay, we're taking these back, but we're going to increase some benefit or your base or whatever.
Sure. You renegotiate in a way that doesn't.
But you just can't keep it. Those commissions just can't keep going like this. It doesn't work. It does not work.
And the problem
is, on this, Dave.
The salesperson's dilemma, right, is that the house will always wind up taking your commissions back if you wind up earning too much. It's too much. And I dislike when I'm in a
do
position where that has to happen. But
love to hear how you manage your salespeople, how you hire, feedback at businessbrain.show, or find us up on X at Dave Hamilton or at Shannon Jean. Come at us, right?
Yeah, come at us. Do at us, please. Yes, yes. Keep living that charmed life, folks, and we'll see you Friday. Great.
Cool. Nice. I like that.
Right.
That's when you get rid of that banner.
The signal.
That's how I know to shut
It's a
up.
great signal.
Oh,
yeah,
it works great. It works good. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my AI because we're going to talk about this for a few minutes. Just some tricks.
Oh, yeah. I do need to look up one thing. But I do have a couple things to talk about, so it'll all work.
Intro. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh. Like this.
Where are we here? That's 585. Yes. Audio hijack there. Oh, is that the right episode? It is. Great. Oh. Okay. And then we do this, and we do that, and hopefully it doesn't yell at me because it logs me out after 2 weeks exactly.
Oh, yes.
And so that's why that happened before. Okay, so there goes that. And then here comes this. And we do that. And this here. I should be able to automate this. I don't know why. Like, there's probably something that could. I bet I could write a script. I bet I could have ChatGPT write a script to do this.
Probably. That would be nice.
I definitely could. God, I've had ChatGPT write me so much software.
That's great. We're going to talk about that next.
We are going to talk about it. Yep.
Perfect. If you're on the live stream right now, we're just getting ready to record the 4th episode that we've done today. And this one is going to come out on Friday the 27th. And Dave's getting it, the one we just recorded, which will be Wednesday the 25th. He's getting that ready so I can do the production.
It's ready. I'm ready to rock, man.
Let's go, man.
You ready to rock?
I'm ready
to go.
Do it.
Okay. Here goes 4 of 4, man. Woohoo! Business Brain, episode 586 for Casual Friday, morning show host day. Could that be podcast host day? Friday, September 27th, 2024. Woo! Welcome to Business Brain, everybody. Welcome back to Business Brain.
Yeah.
I got all screwed up on the intro. I got confused because of the episode number and the 586 versus the 27th. Did I get it right? We here at Business Brain are the show that takes a few ideas every episode. We dissect them, we crunch them, we use them to help tune our business brains, all of our business brains, yours, mine, his, everybody's business brains every single time we get together. Our sponsor for this episode is Shopify.com/businessbrain. That's where you can go to sign up for your $1 per month trial. This is for anyone to sell anywhere. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And in Lafayette, California, I'm Shannon Jean. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. I'm rocking along, trying to be efficient, getting my stuff done. Yeah,
I wanted to I start just another regular segment that we could do on the show talking about AI. Not that this is a show about AI, but I think the AI impact of AI on small business and entrepreneurs and side hustlers and everybody is dramatic. And one of the reasons I brought it up is I was at a party this weekend and I was talking to someone, and it was the first person in a while that I spoke to that just had no concept of how we were, the ways it could help us and doing different things. So, and I find myself using, the big G search engine less and less. And I'm relying on, ChatGPT is my go-to. And one of the ways I use it is in the car now. So I have it on my phone and I have the voice thing turned on and I just start asking questions because I'm curious and I need help. And I thought, why not? So I ask a question, and the beauty of it responds back and forth, and I ask again, clarify this, give me some resources for this. But when I get back to my desk, all that data that it just gave me is waiting for me in the browser. So I get those URLs that it gives me, it gets information. So you should try having a conversation with this thing. It's pretty wild.
Do you have CarPlay in your vehicle?
I do. Yes.
And does ChatGPT work with CarPlay or not? You have to sort of invoke it separately.
Yeah, I just turn it on and it sits there in the
and then you just go.
And I just go, and it stays the whole time. So I just have my phone sitting in there, and I needed to learn about. I was having a problem with the well, a water well up on a piece of property we have, and I'm just frustrated. I didn't know, so I was like, okay, I'm driving home. I have like 90 minutes. I'm gonna get a full tutorial on how these wells work.
Yes.
How the iron could be building up. What are the problems that I need to know? And so it gave me all this great data, and then I could say, wait, you say, stop, clarify what you just said, or make sure you include a link to that. And so then when I got home, I flip open my MacBook, and the whole history's right there, and every resource that it mentioned, there's a link to. It's just a game changer, man. It's a game changer.
I agree.
It's amazing. And so, I use it. I create every image pretty much that I use now.
Slow down, because we're going to go back and forth on this, man.
I'm too excited.
Because otherwise it's just going to be one soliloquy after another, and that's no fun. We'll have an interactive conversation.
Thank you.
That's better for the listener, I think.
It is.
Feedback at businessbrain.show. You let us know. I have been using Apple Intelligence, the very limited portion that's available in beta software currently.
Okay. Tell us how it works.
Doesn't have the ChatGPT integration yet. It doesn't have, there's basically 3 layers to Apple Intelligence. One is the stuff that can all be done on the iPhone or on the device.
Okay.
Then there's this, and that's all private because it never leaves your device, the request, everything. Then there's the second layer, which again only uses like your data and a stock LLM that Apple has built that basically spins up a private server in the cloud for you to do things with, but it's not exposing your request beyond that. And this server in the cloud, it's, they're all like open sourced in a way that people can confirm that there's no data stored. There's no logs kept on these things. It's basically an extra brain for your phone when you have a request that's more than your phone can do, right?
Okay.
Which is great, smart. That doesn't exist yet. And then the third layer is integration with ChatGPT, which also doesn't exist. So I'm only using the thing that happens on the phone, which is fairly limited, but I'm still not even using all of it. Every day there's new things that I'm like, oh, right. And this is, just so everybody knows, this is in the beta software for iOS 18.1. It's not in the release of 18.0. One of my favorite things is what it automatically does because I don't have to learn and figure out what I can do with it. But one of my favorite things is notification summaries. So, and this works with every app and every notification. If you get multiple notifications from the same app, it summarizes. So, for example, and I know this is an Apple app, but it works with all apps. It works with Slack the same way I'm about to describe that it works with messages. In fact, the same thing happens. You get messages notifications. When you're in like a group or you get one person that's super chatty and sends you 15 messages while you're busy, whatever.
Yep.
Then you go and you have to read through the whole thing and you see that there's this explosion of messages. This gives me a like 2 to 4 line summary of all of the notifications.
Nice.
And it's like, oh yeah, like with the bands I'm in, it happens all the time. Sometimes it's, hey, we should be playing a new song this weekend. And other times it's, let's find creative uses for the eggplant emoji, right? One of those is more important than the other. Obviously, it's the eggplant emoji.
Yes.
But like, it's really handy. My family group chat, that kind of thing, that in and of itself makes the AI features super, and it's
great.
Barely scratching the surface. I can have it do summaries for me. Like replying to emails, I'm barely even doing that. And that all happens on device too. But yeah, the Apple Intelligence, it's cool. Yeah. And when they have the ChatGPT integration, I'll be able to do the thing with CarPlay that you are doing without, without it. So,
it's great.
All right, what's the next one?
Well,
on your list?
I would just say, it's very obvious, but I create every image that we use for this show. We create in ChatGPT now in the image generator, and it's gotten much, much better. It allows you to edit certain parts. It's still not the best at spelling, but it's getting better and better. And that's I use it over and over and every single day, and it's just amazing to me that how easy it is to use, and how we used to pay a lot of money for stock photos, and now it just creates the stuff. So it's
just
huge.
does it.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. I have a tip or a hint on that. When I'm creating images with ChatGPT, I tell it, no words. Please don't add any words. I will add those later with my templates.
I like that.
And it doesn't keep it from adding words. Like, it will still add some words, but it doesn't add nearly as many. It doesn't try, like if I'm doing it for the podcast or whatever, it doesn't try to add the name of the show, which it'll misspell or whatever.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. I've created, we did a show, I think I did an intro topic about having a model release form for people in your YouTube videos and stuff. I created that form up in ChatGPT. I just said, hey, I want a forum that I can share with people. And I use that. It's just on and on and on. I
have one last thing that I use with ChatGPT, and that is programming. I am a programmer. I know how to program. I also don't have the time that I would need to code up the ideas that I have in my head. And so I will describe to ChatGPT what I want written, or like with that podcast Pixel, the private Pixel thing, I coded that up in one engine and then realized it would be way better as a Cloudflare worker. And so I was like, crap. This was like 5:30 in the morning at this point. And I'm like, I don't want to write JavaScript right now. So I fed it the thing I created and said, follow the logic on this. Here's what I'm doing. I gave it like a 1-paragraph description of what I wanted. Rewrite this as a Cloudflare worker. And it was like, okay, great. Also, Cloudflare workers can do other things that you're trying to do here. I can do this. And I took that and put it in, and out of the gate, it worked. Now, I have tweaked it immensely since then. But like, that was huge. What a great starting point. Just like with any kind of writing, code, prose, it gives you a starting point that you can then edit from. And that is where things get super, super valuable. All right, folks, you know that success in business isn't just about having a great product, right? It's about the business behind the business, making sales as easy as a walk in the park for your customers. Take companies like Feastables by Mr. Beast, or even Mattel. Sure, they've got demand, killer branding, and influence-driven marketing. But the real secret behind their success? Our sponsor, Shopify. That's right. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And their not-so-secret weapon, Shop Pay, which boosts conversions by up to 50%. Less abandoned carts, more cha-ching moments. I've used Shopify with one of my other businesses, and soon I'm setting it up for my Gig Gab podcast merch store. It's ridiculously simple to use, and no matter where your customers are, online, in-store, or lost in their social media scroll, Shopify is ready to sell for you. So if you're serious about growing your business, the secret's out. Businesses that want to grow, grow with Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout as Mr. Beast uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/businessbrain, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. All right, Shannon, I know we only have a few minutes left here, but I am curious. You for the better part of a year, and certainly most of this year, 2024, have been talking about how you started first on the X platform and started like learning that more, and then you joined a group. But it's clear, certainly looking backwards, that you have started a new business this year, and we've heard the evolution of it on this show. And it's great. Like, you're doing some consulting and other things right now. You have your newsletter, and you've got other things on the horizon with this. As you look at that business today, what is your new business? What does it do?
Good question. That's a great question. And up until I've really been focused on this for like 9 months. Okay, after the first year, I really got it. So up until about, the first 3 months, I really had no idea. Just I knew something was happening. I was getting some really good energy back, and I was meeting lots of great people. And then, the last 3 months have really been crazy and a lot of growth and everything. And really, I had one of the people in my peer group that I work with, they had said a while back, like, well, what you're building is a media company. And I agree. And the focus is on me.
Dia
company. So I have wanted to productize my knowledge forever, but I just didn't know how to do it. And I've written a couple books, so I guess I did it that way a bit.
Sure.
But the way that the tools at our disposal, we were just having that AI conversation.
Yeah.
The tools at our disposal, like I'm taking a book that I wrote, 3 or 4 years ago and breaking it out like an exploded view that includes, the text of the book, but videos and case studies and more interactive features, and creating a much more in-depth experience for someone that's interested in replicating what I did. And my biggest growth has been in liquidation products and overstock
over the years, not this year, but in the past.
Yeah, but in the past, that every business I've had, there's been some
been your thing.
Part of it.
Yeah.
That's been my thing.
Yeah.
That has gotten me the most growth on X.
Oh, I see. Okay, so really productizing the knowledge that you had prior to this year.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Sharon, we always say, you sound much smarter because you get to tell your story in reverse.
So
that's basically what I'm doing. And we're building, and I have people helping me now. We're building an kind of this system or an ecosystem of all these things that I've done. And the way that I've attracted clients has been to build my credibility on X.
Got it.
And
okay,
they follow along, and then
of course.
I don't push anything. People ask me, "Hey, Shannon, do you do any coaching?" Well, in the beginning, I was like, "No."
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
But it became apparent pretty quick. It's like, hey, I would like you to coach me. So the way I did it in the beginning, because I did not know how to coach another business owner per se, other than just talking to you and I, is I did it for free.
It turns out you did know how to do this.
Yeah,
but
correct.
I could have told you that, but you hadn't done it in a way.
And
correct. Before you start charging people, you want to feel confident in the offering.
So before I started charging, I found a few people that I had interacted with and said, "Hey, how would you like a month of free coaching? And I'm going to build this. I'm going to do this and build these tools for you." And it's been great. The same with now. We're going to build we're in the process of building a community for people that want to learn about this stuff and be involved.
A mastermind kind of group, sort of thing.
Mastermind. Yeah. But I didn't know how to do a mastermind. So on X, I sell a $5 a month subscription, right? If you pay $5 a month to my feed, you get exclusive offers. And so I didn't know what to do with those, but what I do now is I have a subscriber group that's just for subscribers on X in the DMs. And I do a monthly call just with the subscribers. Okay. So I've got, I think 50, 55 subscribers now. They only pay $5 a month. So this is just a proof of concept thing.
Yeah.
But I've learned how to interact with a group of 50 plus people in a forum type scenario. So that's helping me. And I've learned how to do kind of basically like a webinar with 20 or 30 business owners that have joined at any one time, firing off questions, and learned how to moderate, learn how to talk when nobody's there. All these things I'm learning how to do that are helping me create the next level of this business. And I have a great content manager, and she manages my content on LinkedIn. She takes my stuff on X and pushes it up there, has to modify it a little bit. And our once we're building out a couple of new websites, we've got a lot of stuff going on. If you want to show content,
I wasn't so the nitty gritty is actually helpful to flesh out what a media company means. But now so I mean, you are building a coaching practice. I think what you're offering is pretty typical of not all, but many successful coaching practices where you have your coaching, but really it's so many things around that, the courses and the guides, books and the mastermind group and access to I think you're building a robust coaching business is really if I was to look for other people doing something similar, that's where I would find them. That makes sense, man.
I would say what's interesting is that I've learned is probably the one-on-one coaching is, I'm not sure I will continue to do that.
No, most people in the coaching, successful people in the coaching business evolve out of the actual coaching. That's right.
I can coach, 10 people in a call or in person much more and have a much bigger impact than just one-on-one. So
that's fair.
But anyway, I'm having a great time. I'm learning,
good.
If you don't follow me at Shannon Jean, come up there and we talk about lots of crazy stuff and it's fun. A lot of energy.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of the stuff you post. I haven't been paying you $5 a month. Maybe I should so I can learn the rest of it. That's right. I am a slacker. That's right. Go pay Shannon $5 a month. He will appreciate it. Absolutely.
Of course.
Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Thanks for supporting our sponsors, Shopify.com/businessbrain. Keep living that charmed life. Send us a note, feedback@businessbrain.show. Have a great weekend, folks.
Thank you.
Later. Bye.
Hey, if you hung out on the live stream with us for that entire almost 2 hours, thank you very much. That's really awesome.
It looks like there's some people that did, which is great.
That's great. So
yeah,
cool. So I'm going to end the stream now, and
great.
No live stream next week, but you will see us in your favorite podcast app, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks again.
Thanks, folks.
Take it easy.